Hello, everybody. It's Glenda with Fralins and Friends. I want to welcome all of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do and join this wonderful community of people from all over. And if you please would give us a like, I hope you will. And please enjoy our time. I'm out of breath because my husband made us beautiful supper and it was so filling. So there's not a lot of room. I probably will voice over this again, except for this intro, and narrate it. And I do have a poem that I will share while you're watching the video. Well, you saw where we are last night, and we're gonna do more tonight. And I'm gonna cut into this hill a bit because it's really steep. It doesn't need to be that steep. I thought it was so interesting to learn about the Kansas Indians, also known as the Kaw Indians. The whole state of, Kansas was named for the Kansas Indians. It's not just a state with a weird name. I don't think it's weird at all. I can't, because I grew up there. It's in my head and my heart, and how could it be weird? All right. I've got the poem to read here, but I wanted to mention something. I have some of you who are getting a little frustrated because I'm not getting to your project right away. I've got a list of all the projects and I'm taking them in order. And I've tried to explain that, but I don't think people are going back, and a lot of people don't go back and reread their comments to see if anyone's answered. So anyway, just to let you know, I have them on a list and I'm going through the list. And that's how I'm working with this. So if yours is recent, it probably won't be for a week or so before I get to it. Tonight I do have a poem. This landscape fits with the next request, which is a poem. And so I have written a poem that will go along with this. And so I am going to read that poem right now. I understand looking to the hills for my help. They have many answers about God's love. I lived under those Flint Hills, walked through them often. God's creatures lived wild and domestic. Nature's waterways of springs, creeks, and ponds. Nature's water holes, cattle, deer, bobcat, squirrels, and more. Not to mention fish from the bluegill to largemouth bass, any kind that grandfather stalked into the pond. Climbing to the top of a hill, fresh, clean air, yet easy to determine the harvest of grains of the season. Riding my horse, who surprised me by jumping a small crevice in the earth, sometimes hiding among large aged cedar trees to hear myself think. An older child in a large family demands could seem fierce, and just a half an hour of privacy in those hills, my chest refilled with God given love and peace. I returned to the fray of four younger siblings dishes, and sometimes cooking while Mother made a new dress for one of us to wear. And that is my poem. I hope you enjoyed it. It is kind of to the heart of my growing up years. So, yeah, I am now, those lines that you just saw me put in there, those are going to contain a creek. We had a creek right about that spot in the pasture. Actually, there was an underpass instead of that little black rock dam that I've got there. There was an underpass from the corral into through there into the pasture, and that creek was right went right through there. So it was kind of fun because one of those old stone tunnel type underpasses. So they were kind of fun for us to. But yeah, I'm making it so that the water is seeming to have a larger puddle there at the beginning, but I don't always color in the lines. So I've tried to pretty much get this edited up to, I did take some stuff out that didn't work, but and I've covered some stuff over that you can still see a little bit, but I think things that I will be putting in there over that will kind of cover, because I'm going to be putting in some cedar trees and a path. Now, up there in that right hand, no, left hand corner. Sorry, don't know my left right now. Up in the left hand corner, what you see there is a plowed field across the river. I mentioned that we could see across the river to the other farms. And yes, we could do that, especially from up on the hill. Or now, the way I'm looking at this, I I figure I am looking from the top of the next hill toward this hill. So I am up high, and the wheat field, that little patch of light green grass, the river, and the neighbor's field, those are all distant and or low, distant and low. And as to my vantage point, that's how I'm coming across with this. So, but I just tried to do the best I could and have some fun. There, I'm putting in a path there next to the creek, which is where it would be, of course, because you've got cattle and horses and all kinds of things coming to drink out of that creek. So, yeah, there's a natural path there they like to walk through. There, in real life, that was about how that hill was. But in real life, down the off the page there was a bunch of small brush, just some small volunteer trees or something. And but it was just kind of tall and kind of like rushes or something. And I would go hide in there. I wasn't really trying to hide from anybody. I was just trying to find, someplace to think. That little thought spot. But anyway, but if they'd have hollered at me, I'd have come. I wasn't out of hollering distance. Sometimes you just need that solitude. So I'm going to do a little bit of. Okay, now I'm going to be putting in several tree trunks. They won't look real big because, come on, it's got to fit the page. I'm going to make some cedar trees. So I think that will kind of cover up a lot of that. But that's what we had a lot of. We had a lot of cedar trees. And every Christmas, we went out and we chopped one down until my brother's allergies developed to the point But he knocked a window out one night and didn't even remember it the next day. We had no idea about the cedars. And he'd been getting allergy shots for quite some time, but evidently they didn't cover cedar. So the window got replaced and we quit bringing in cedar trees. But it's really weird the way that, just, well, I mean, he'd been suffering from it, but he'd opened his window. But this time he'd had enough. He had no idea he'd done it. He didn't remember. So yeah, I'm putting a couple of tall cedars on top of that hill. It is just a hill. It's not a mountain, but it's a tall enough hill. You could get a pretty good climb out of it. We used to try to race up those darn things, and you'd let's just say it's not easy racing uphill on foot, especially when you got to dodge trees and all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot of things that you find in pastures that, well, one thing you find are cow pies, and you really want to watch your step when it comes to those. So, because, yeah, they're kind of smelly, messy, and not very fun, unless it's someone else. I'm kidding. I did try to got a few weeds and stuff in along that riverbank and even a few trees, but I think I'm going to have to take a little more time on that next time. Today, I really wanted to concentrate on this pasture. Now, I did make that a larger um, body of water, just a little bit more water there, where it's kind of pooling up at the end of that. So, and there might have been a spring around there. For all I know, I'm just going to say there was a spring. At least once a year, it's spring. Okay, I'm not. That doesn't even good. So, what I'm doing is I'm doing these cedars. I'm starting to, very soon now, I'll be starting to put in the green that makes the cedar a cedar, because they tend to be kind of prickly, kind of like a pine, but maybe a little more so. But they do smell good, unless you're allergic to them. Now, oh, I'm putting some hoof prints on the path now. That's what I'm up to. Couldn't figure out what I was doing. I forgot I put those on there. Yeah, I put a couple of hoof prints on there. Anyway, now, yeah, now you can see I'm doing up those trees. And I'm trying to distinguish things by color. I'm not saying that everything is the correct color. I don't know if there is a specific correct color, because depending on where it grows, things don't always grow the same or have the same nutrients to have the same color. So I don't know, but I think they look pretty good. This is art, not farming, not 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 livestock. But yeah, there's quite a bit to go yet there. Okay, we'll get a lot of this cedar done, because these, even if the cedars are just running into each other, they just that's what they do. They are a wild tree. They drop their own little seeds, and that's why Grandpa used to pay us to go up and clip the little seedlings before they got very big. But I can't remember now if he paid a penny or a dime. But anyway, I can't remember. It's been so long ago. A penny probably would have added up pretty fast for us. Those little saplings, you could just practically Well, you couldn't break them off because they were too green, but you could just take a pair of snippers and like you would on a lopping shear or something, and just take them down real fast. Yeah, I got it all upside down. I can't remember what I'm trying to do. Oh, I'm trying to do something with the rocks. I will be doing some more with the rocks. I need to define them better. I want them to, but they need what I tried to do earlier, and it didn't work out real well. Is I tried to take a little bit of brown on the tip of it, and I tried to put little potholes or just little holes, or I mean, unless they've been through a tumbling in a tumbler or a river or something like that, they're not just smooth rock. They have, little pits in them and stuff. I don't know why it just didn't come out very well, so I'll have to rethink that and try again. But yes, there's quite a bit of flint. Most of it's buried in the stones, and occasionally you can find a geode in. Um, my grandmother loved rocks, and I think even I think they did find some geodes, probably more down by the river, but anyway, because they would have. But a rock doesn't have to be round in order to have a geode in it. But anyway, and that's it. Love you guys. Talk to you tomorrow.